Alright, it says that I'm on live. Want to play this video clip for y'all real quick. I don't know how much of it I'm going to play. I don't even know how much I'm going to say about it, but I just want y'all to notice the emotionalism. Just notice the emotionalism in how they talk. You know what I'm saying? These black immigrants, these second generation immigrants, and how how emotional their questioning and responses are to what ADOS is. The only thing that is polarizing is in this discussion is how the black immigrants are separating themselves and not aligning with ADOS based on their emotionalism. See, the problem with some of your black immigrants, a lot of our fellow black immigrants presenting is data to support their claim on why reparations is needed. Brother Chad Brown, he did a great job in explaining himself. And he did not veer off the bend down and try to cater to the emotionalism. He did a great job in doing that. See, notice that they wasn't upset at him. They upset at what others are saying who are rocking with the ADOS movement. What the emotionalism is really, it may possibly be or may very well be coming from the FBA side of things. Which, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know for sure, but that's according to a person who said in the comment section. And hold on, let me go down to the comment section here. Oh, this person, Jessica J, said a lot of the criticisms the hosts were stating seems aimed at FBA and not ADOS. And she said that FBA is the one driving the homophobic rhetoric. So, and I believe that was the one comment that suggested that it may very well be FBA who is causing the homophobia and the xenophobia and all that. Everybody said that Chad Brown has held his composure. And what you're going to see is it's going to collaborate with a lot of the comments here, people who have already seen this already. So big ups to, and I made my comment a couple of minutes ago stating that the co-hosts are too emotional for me. The co-hosts are too emotional, and that Chad did a great job handling the emotional deflections. So that's pretty much the comment section. Without further ado, let's go ahead and play this clip for those who have not seen this yet.
Killings of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and other black men and women this year has triggered the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter movement that has swept the globe. But in addition to calling for police reform and an end to racial oppression, many within the black community are calling for reparations. Now, this idea of reparations for slavery actually dates all the way back to the end of the Civil War and back to the term 40 acres and a mule. We've been having these conversations internally, but it was just as of recent where this conversation has become very mainstream. For instance, last year it was a hot topic on the campaign trail, and we heard a number of Democratic presidential candidates voicing support for slavery reparations. One of the most prominent groups responsible for pushing this issue into mainstream discourse is the American Descendants of Slaves, also known as ADOS or ADOS. This is a social movement that advocates for meaningful political and social reform solely on behalf of the black community and prioritizes the unique experiences of African Americans at the head of its movement. However, in addition to redefining the national understanding of African American identity, ADOS demands nationwide reparations based on lineage, not race. The group, which was co-founded by Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore, is calling for set-asides for American descendants of slaves only. So that includes the U.S. Census. That should include a new designation for those descendants to differentiate them from black immigrants and also other minorities, etc. Now, critics, however, of ADOS say that their politics are xenophobic, transphobic, homophobic, and fosters voter apathy and even promotes divisiveness within the black community. Others point out that their advocacy leaves an entire group of people out, American-born descendants of immigrants. Where do they go? And who would they be aligned to? So to join us for this very important and timely conversation, we have Chad Brown, an advisory board member of ADOS Los Angeles. To address the growth of ADOS, its push for nationwide reparations based on lineage, and criticism about the movement. Thank you so much for joining us, Chad.
Your platform.
I'm sorry, Chad, you were on mute. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I was just saying hello. Thank you for inviting ADOS onto your platform. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for that lead-in, Selena. That was very gracious. I would make just a slight correction. ADOS stands for American Descendants of Slavery, as in the institution of United States chattel slavery, and we have no affiliation with BLM whatsoever.
Okay, well, thank you for that clarification.
Absolutely.
Chad, can you talk about why you joined ADOS? I read in your bio that you were also a leader of a local NAACP chapter. Why did you join ADOS, and what are the goals of this movement?
So, number one, I did not join ADOS. I am ADOS. So, as you said in your lead-in, ADOS is a lineage distinction. So, we are recentering the national identity of what it means to be African American. We are reclaiming that, and we're saying that it should be based upon and centered around lineage versus melanin content, as you would have with like a people of color sort of designation or a flat blackness designation. So I didn't join anything. I am ADOS, and once you come to that realization of who you are and what your identity is, that comes with a very specific set of circumstances and a justice claim here in the country that our ancestry built and made wealthy. So it wasn't so much of a conscious decision to join anything. It really was just aligning with others who share my lineage, share my ancestry, and common goals here in the country.
Chad, another thing. So earlier this year, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed the state's historic reparations bill into law, which moves descendants of enslaved Americans one step closer to getting restitution for centuries of free labor and legal discrimination that followed it. What role did your ADOS chapter play in getting this bill signed?
Absolutely. No, I'm with ADOS Los Angeles, but there are ADOS chapters all throughout California, north to south. There are ADOS chapters all throughout this nation at this point and popping up daily. But here in California, we saw that there was a bill that was proposed in the California State Assembly by Dr. Shirley Weber, Assemblywoman Dr. Shirley Weber, who also chairs the California Legislative Black Caucus. it was to form a task force to study reparations and California's role in the institution of chattel slavery nationally. And so, obviously, we are reparationists. We are focused on reparations as a centerpiece of a black agenda and collective uplift. So we reached out and got involved in that process early on. Representatives from ADOS Los Angeles were instrumental in helping craft language in that bill to make sure that, number one, it did not preclude federal reparations, because at the end of the day, reparations is a federal responsibility. It is a matter for the U.S. federal government, not a local or state matter, but also to make sure that we had lineage specificity within that bill, because obviously there is a specific group that is owed reparations for restitution for slavery and institutional Jim Crow that ensued.
Let's talk about that specificity. Let's talk about that, because who would actually qualify for reparations based on that philosophy that it needs to be lineage-based and not race? If you could just expand on that.
Absolutely. So our work and our advocacy is rooted in the research and study of Dr. William Sandy Derry, Duke professor and economist. They've recently published a book, From Here to Equality, which spells out criteria for who would be eligible for any program of reparations. And this is accepted criteria that we have taken on in the ADOS movement. And so it's two-pronged. First, there is a lineage test. So that simply means that you can trace your ancestry back to the American institutions of chattel slavery. Secondly, there's an identification test. So you have self-identified as Black, African American, colored, or Negro for at least 12 years prior to the onset of any reparations program or prior to the formation of any national commission to study reparations.
So I actually want to get Stanley and Tammy's voice into this conversation. I know Stanley wanted to ask you a question, Chad, but before we get to that, Stanley, what have you heard about ADOS? I was first introduced to ADOS last year, and because of Clubhouse, I was able to hear and learn more about the group. Yvette Carnell is very popular and very active on Clubhouse, so I heard a number of her talks.
She's an incredible teacher, absolutely.
And so, Stanley, what are your thoughts? And then we'll get to Tammy.
Well, before I get to my thoughts, I want to tease Chad a little bit, because you said they gotta have acknowledged and identified as ADOS for at least 12 years. How do you prove that, bro? What if they pull up yeah, man, I've been holding it down for mad long, but somebody's like, no, they haven't. How do you check that?
Well, you could use census records. You could use any applications that you've made to, college or for any loan programs, anywhere where you've been asked what your racial ethnic identity is, and you've checked Black or African American. I mean, to be honest with you, Stanley, when I hear that question, it really kind of reeks of, how do we know who we are, right? That's the essence of that question. And if you talk to any ADOS person, we understand who we are. We understand our lineage. We know our contributions to this country. So it really isn't that complex.
Well, I'm sorry if I came off the way. That's not the intention.
Sure.
I'm just laughing because, once the money comes in, folks will pull up out of nowhere. So I was thinking about dealing with that part of it.
That's why we subscribe to the fact that for 12 years prior to the program, you have identified this way to stop those, Johnny-come-latelys and those who would want to then cling on to ADOS lineage just for the benefit of reparations.
Well, you know what? I'm actually glad Stanley asked that question, Chad. And I know, he's saying don't take it a type of way, but you really do have to clarify something like this when the movement is so identity-based. There are a lot of us who are, half Caribbean, half American, or might have parents who are immigrants, and
Here we go. This is where it gets emotional here. Okay, that's fine. Of course, there are Black immigrants who are not descendants of American chattel slaves. That's fine. That doesn't make you any less Black. That just means that you're not eligible for the reparations claim. Because the reparations claim, like Chad said from the beginning, is only eligible for descendants of American chattel slaves. And I'm sorry, Miss Tammy, but you're just gonna have to face the fact that you're not a descendant of American chattel slaves. But how can you say you're supportive of reparations if you're not supportive of descendants of American chattel slaves fighting for their claim for reparations? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, there's too wishy-washy going on with these black immigrants, these first and second generation black Americans. You know what I mean? Too wishy-washy here. But we'll keep going. We're just gonna let these people talk so they can get all their air in. Here we go.
Consider ourselves American because we never grew up in that culture. So, you know, we just want to know, like.
And another thing, it doesn't make them any less American, and it doesn't make them any less black. You know, it's just that they're different from us, who are descendants of American chattel slaves. That's all. That's the only difference. It's no big deal. It's okay to be different. You know, let's embrace that. I don't think blackness should be flat. Period. You know what I'm saying? There's different types of black. It's like there's many different shades of brown. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Let's embrace that. No, I don't have any problems with Haitians and Dominicans and Trinidadians and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody got no problem with y'all. But damn, but y'all coming up with this white supremacist rhetoric that, making it look like us descendants of American chattel slaves are trying to hurt y'all and being xenophobic and homophobic and stuff. Allegations that are not even based on truth. That's what that trips. That's what we start tripping like, yo, y'all bugging. Y'all straight bugging. But anyway, let's keep going.
How you guys would check for that, but I appreciate your answer. For me personally, I feel like my experience with ADOS has been largely sort of negative internet clickbait stuff. So that's why the way that you're answering, I really appreciate you being very specific, because I know that members of a movement, should not represent the movement's goal and cause and mission. But that's what happens. Like, you see the idiot Proud Boys, and that's conservatives. And then when you see ADOS dudes who are like really gatekeeping and problematic, you tend to...
This is interesting. She says that ADOS people be gatekeeping, and and there's been accusations that we're aligned with right-wing white supremacist groups and so on and so forth. We're not, we don't agree with most of the stuff the right-wing and white supremacist groups are saying. See, right-wing and white supremacist groups, their reasoning for being anti-immigration is that they don't want any other black and brown people coming into this country, period. You know what I'm saying? Because they're xenophobic and homophobic of them. Our reasoning for not having any more being anti-immigration, especially when you have too many black immigrants coming here, is that there's that data that proves that they're taking jobs away from us black Americans. You know what I'm saying? Foreigners in general are taking jobs away from taking jobs away from black Americans, those of us who are descendants of American chattel slaves. foreigners in general, immigrants in general. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those who are in tech are not the black immigrants. A lot of those who are in the tech industry, are from India and other East Asian type nations. So, yeah. So it's not just black immigrants who are taking jobs away from black Americans. It's also other immigrant groups as well. And that's what is not being mentioned in the discussion. See, they trying to make it look like it's just them that are targeted. It's not just them that are targeted, and it's not even their fault why they're taking all the jobs away from black Americans. It's the system of white supremacy that allows this to happen. How can we fight white supremacy if we're fighting each other? If we're criticizing each other? That's what the black immigrants are doing more than anything. We're not criticizing black immigrants for being here. We're criticizing the system of white supremacy for allowing a lot of immigrants to be here, in which they end up taking a lot of us black American jobs. So that's the issue that's at stake. Continuing on.
To wonder if this is a movement that is just about sort of exclusivity and division. So that was my experience. But I really appreciate you coming and clarifying, because when you have those metrics, it proves that you can, sort of have a group of individuals working together for a cause that specifically affects them.
Absolutely. And ADOS is not doing anything different than what other peoples and groups do. You align based upon shared common interests, shared common lineage, shared common experiences. And that's all we're saying, is that we are a specific group in this country that should be recognized and should not be just lumped in under terms that don't mean anything and that serve to erase our specific lineage and contributions to this country. So in no way is ADOS divisive. We are just recognizing the divisions that already exist, these separations that already exist between groups. Each group should have its own right to autonomy and its own right to specificity, and ADOS is no different.
Stanley, what reaction or learnings have you had of ADOS or experiences, and do you feel that you are supportive of the movement?
So, my experiences, the information that Chad is sharing with us seems that's pretty consistent with what I've heard. I've also had some pretty negative experiences with ADOS, unfortunately. But the thing I want to talk to Chad about is because I'm not sure if those are ADOS folks or just folks who claim to be ADOS, but I've seen on social media folks who claim to be ADOS using very anti-immigrant language. I've been on Clubhouse, the app Clubhouse, which is in beta testing right now, where I've been in rooms trying to learn about ADOS, and folks just without provocation start talking about black immigrants. I've been in rooms where folks were like, well, these black immigrants come in here and they take our resources and they take our jobs. And I've been like, well, hey guys, that's offensive. That's not what's happening. And then I've been told to go back to my own country. I've been in rooms where there's been ADOS folks who have been saying things that are very homophobic or sexist.
One thing he's got to understand is that, like I said before, it's not just black immigrants who are taking jobs away from black Americans. It's also other immigrant groups as well. Yeah, there's a lot of immigrant groups that are told to go back to their country from whence they came. A lot of them that are told that. It's not just you black immigrants. There's also other brown immigrants too that are told to go back to their country. Donald Trump has said himself that he preferred his immigrants to be of European descent from various European nations to come here. But that's not happening, because ain't no person living in any nation in Europe in their right mind is going to come to this country when they have all the benefits and everything that they need to enjoy life. The despite this COVID, they still living their best life. They got their benefits. They got all that shit. They got it set up to where the government is still paying them money, even though they out of work. You know what I mean? We could barely get our government to give us $1,200. And shoot, these politicians had the debate on that. I mean, we barely got $1,200, and not even all of us ADOS got it. There's some of us who never even got that shit. So I mean, either way, you know what I'm saying? Shoot, America is a fucked up ass country. You know what I'm saying? Even though we are American, despite us being American. You know what I'm saying? But if we were living in another country or was a citizen in another country, we couldn't criticize our government the way we criticize our government here. That's the difference. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, this saying that make them feel like they're the only ones being targeted. Yeah, no, it's not just you, bro. Don't take it personal. You know what I'm saying? It's not even just you. Trust me, it's not just you, man. Excuse me. Shoot, I got a guy who works with me. He's from Cameroon, Africa. You know what I'm saying? I may not understand everything that he's saying, but hey, man, you know, hey, people got to work whatever they can fit in. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? He's not even half bad compared to. I'm less threatened of him than the ones who are in the tech industry. You know what I'm saying? The ones in the tech industry taking more jobs than black immigrant groups are. Most black immigrant groups are. You know what I'm saying? Some of these immigrants, they come in, they open shops. Just like the Chinese open their shops. Japanese people, they open their own shops and businesses and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So they really not, in that effect, that's the only way they're not taking jobs. They're placing their imprint right into the American economy. Which is really circulated amongst their own people, because most of the time they only hire their own people. Now, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. Hey, immigrant groups, they could do that. They could create jobs for their people. But the minute us, descendants of American chattel slaves, start doing that for our own, it's a problem. Everybody got a problem with it, including all of these immigrant groups. Well, more specifically, black immigrant groups, they got a problem with it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's wild. But continuing on, I'm going to go ahead and, as you may see, the brothers and sisters of ADOS, they are chiming into this discussion. Big ups to all of them, man. That's what's up. Big ups to all of them for chiming in. It turned out to be a very interesting discussion. You know what I'm saying? It's just that the emotionalism kicks in at this part of the interview. You know what I mean? And this is what we have to watch for. And this is constant, because as black people, regardless of whether you are descendant of American chattel slaves or not, as black people, we are too goddamn emotional. That's our fucking problem. That is our fucking problem. If we could stop being so emotional and start acknowledging the facts and start looking at the data, we could get somewhere as a people. You know what I'm saying? We could get somewhere as a people. We'll be a huge threat to the system of white supremacy. You know what I mean? But continuing on.
Or saying someone can't be ADOS because they identify as a woman or whatever it is. Now, I also understand that there are different groups who also kind of like who have they can trace their lineage back to like American slaves, so they call themselves ADOS, but they're not part of the group. One of those groups is Foundational Black Americans. So what's the difference between ADOS and FBA? And has ADOS been putting in any work to address some of this anti-black immigrants, xenophobic, transphobic language that I feel like I've seen it and a bunch of people have seen as well?
So I would say that we can't police everyone, right? And so you have to understand, I would ask that you move with grace when you're dealing with descendants of slavery, because we have been oppressed and marginalized in this country for over 4 centuries. So there may be a bit of anger and frustration there that you might encounter. But as for any affiliation with FBA, ADOS is a lineage and we are a political movement. And while we may talk to the same lineage, it's in a different way. We're out here actually advocating and doing work on the ground, trying to push policies that are going to collectively uplift our people. That is the core of ADOS. We are.
And Friday Jones, big ups to this sister. She made a great point. Notice a comment on the bottom here. I don't know if y'all can see it or not. She made the point that Howard University was built for freedmen. What does the student body look like today versus 30 years ago? She makes a very great point about that, because the original premise of why HBCUs were created is because as descendants of American chattel slaves, for a long time we were not allowed to enroll in PWIs, which means predominantly white institutions. So, but now, since we are allowed to enroll in predominantly white institutions since the 1960s, and more so in the 70s and onward to today, there's really not that much there's really not that much purpose and need for HBCUs to be around. So HBCUs, in order for them to stay relevant, in order for them to maintain their financial standing, in order for them to remain, pretty much relevant, they may have to go out and enroll immigrants and Caucasian folks. You know what I'm saying? In order to keep themselves relevant. And that's what has been happening at Howard University. I'm sure it's happening in other HBCUs. It is what it is. So our HBCUs now are not the same HBCUs that were back in the 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting point she made. But continuing on.
Political project that is based and rooted in lineage. As for the xenophobia, we are not xenophobic in any way, but we do rely on data, and we have to be real, and we have to talk about the data and how immigration, unfettered immigration, has impacted our communities and reshaped Black America and our opportunities in this country. So to turn a blind eye to the data is not something that we're willing to do, and we have to address that as a country. It is our national responsibility.
Thank you, Chad. I need to follow up on Stanley's question, because I do understand, you keep saying that ADOS is a lineage, it is a being. Like, yes, it is a movement, but it is literally fundamentally and genetically like a personhood. So the problem, I think, with sort of dismissing like the homophobia or the transphobia, I do understand that you see ADOS from a different light because you do this work every day. But for someone like me who, is a Black person, identifies as a Black person, comes from an immigrant background, and it's like, not sort of cookie cutter dry, straight woman, whatever, hearing these things negates my blackness. Like, we have heard things like, you know, we can't allow gay black men in the movement because they perpetuate the white supremacist destruction of the black family unit. And there are people who talk about, you know, gay folks and trans folks as an abomination and unable to continue that lineage. But because it is so specifically genetic based, like, how do you address that within your sort of organization? Do you say, like, hey, these people are ADOS as well, and, you know, we have to respect that? Or do you just, you know, choose to move away from those people if they are unwilling to overcome sort of that hate and join the political movement?
Oh, you know, I just had to stop it again. Friday Jones makes another point. In no way does asserting our heritage negate your heritage. I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting how these black immigrants, some of your fellow black immigrants, feel like we're negating their heritage. Adolf doesn't engage in negating anybody's heritage. Your heritage is your heritage. You know what I'm saying? Adolf's heritage is here in this country as American, as descendants of American chattel slaves. You know what I'm saying? And since we're descendants of American chattel slaves, we are looking for a just compensation of what's been owed to us. You know what I mean? So this whole thing about other people's heritage being negated, that's just completely false. I don't know where she's getting that from. She might be getting it from FBA, like somebody said in the comments, like Michael Hicksman said, that's FBA rhetoric. ADOS doesn't own that. So a lot of stuff they probably may be getting from may very well be FBA. I don't know for sure, but at the same time, I wouldn't be surprised. Because you know how Tariq and the Black Authority and the rest of them guys get down. Continuing on.
We do not draw any distinctions based upon sexual preference, orientation, any of our gender identity. If you're ADOS, you're ADOS, and you are part of this lineage, you're part of this tribe, and you are due restitution by this government that for 200 years plus of slavery, plus an additional century of institutionalized Jim Crow. So there is no homophobia. I don't see any homophobia, but I understand you might encounter that online, as anyone might encounter any type of wild things online. I think one of the things you also have to be aware of, that just as in the history of all collective uplift movements for black people here in this country, there's a campaign of disinformation and misinformation that's being waged.
Hey, great point by Keith Reynolds. He says in the chat that ADOS's lineage doesn't matter who you sleep with. That's another great point to make too, because I understand there may be a small percentage of ADOS who are not down with interracial marriage, interracial romance, and stuff like that. That's fine. You have a right to that opinion. But as far as the lineage claim, and that both of your parents, or at least one of your parents, can trace their lineage all the way back to slavery, to American chattel slavery, you're still eligible for that claim. You know what I'm saying? So no, it really doesn't matter who you sleep with. You know what I'm saying? It really doesn't. So it's a matter if you want to go for that claim, that justice claim or not. That's on you. That's your decision. Nobody can make you do it. So yeah, that's a great point that Keith Reynolds made in the chat as well. Moving on.
On us online and in mainstream media. So a lot of what you come across is meant to give you a perception of what we are talking about and what we are trying to accomplish to drive those types of misconceptions and to drive people away from this movement, which really is a righteous movement about justice that's long deferred. So I can't speak to your personal experiences or what you've encountered online, but I can tell you that that is not what ADOS is about. We are lineage first, and we are not discriminatory against anyone who is of our tribe.
Very well said. I appreciate you for that. Sorry, Selena. Just had to.
No, absolutely no. So Chad, I think that, when I was first introduced to ADOS, it did feel very divisive. As someone who would be qualified as ADOS, who also grew up in New York City, one of the most diverse cities in the world, a melting pot. I've marched and I've aligned myself with a number of people, a number of my friends even are, their parents were immigrants, so they're immigrant born, right? They're either Caribbean American or they were, their parents were from one of the countries in Africa, etc. And I kind of felt like, why is this movement, so centered on the African American experience, and why is it almost dismissive of the experiences of Caribbean Americans and other Black Americans who are seen and treated and affected by white supremacy in the same exact way? What do you say to that?
I would say that why are certain immigrants dismissive of the slavery that occurred in this country, the chattel slavery that occurred in this country, and the institutionalized Jim Crow? What we see from immigration patterns is prior to 1965, the amount of Black immigrants in this country was to the right of the decimal point on a percentage basis. So you have a group of people who have been here from the onset before there was a country. We contributed into building this country, and we have consistently been marginalized and locked out of full participation and access in this country. And so the fact that you are able to immigrate to this country is largely based upon the contributions of ADOS. So I would say to that person, you're here because of what ADOS has sacrificed and put into America that created the opportunities that attracted you here. And so knowing that, you should move in that space and understand that now the people who built the country are saying, we are dying, and we need transformative public policy, a radical redistribution of wealth to save our community so that we can continue in the country that we built, in our home country that we built. So while we have always been welcoming of Black immigrants, what we're seeing is that there is a certain anti-Black sentiment that's running through a lot of the immigrant community that I feel, and lots of ADOS feel, that you need to have a housekeeping session of your own to address that and figure out why that sentiment exists in your communities.
So, I just want to point out that, American imperialism is also a huge reason why so many people across the African diaspora come to the United States. It's not just because folks think America's so great, let's go do this. It's because of American imperialism, colonialization, and white supremacy. And that's why folks come here, because the American military complex and the Western military complex has decimated and extrapolated resources and actual human beings from these Black nations. And that's why we have folks from Haiti who come here, and folks from DR, folks from Jamaica, and folks from Ghana, and Nigeria, and all these other places. So we should, if we're going to talk about, Black immigrants coming here, let's, also be mindful of, some of those big pieces of why they're here. And the question I have for you is, because I 100% agree with you that ADOS cannot be expected to chase down everyone who says something ridiculous. But I was wondering, and I've checked out the ADOS website, checked out ADOS 101, would ADOS be interested, and do you think it would make sense to put up a statement of principles in which you explicitly say that you would not accept any xenophobia, homophobia, transphobia, within the organization, because as much as you say you're not experiencing it, that is a dominant theme that we're seeing all over social media. And it's happening. So now I'm not saying all those people are ADOS. I actually don't believe most of those people are actually affiliated with the organization of ADOS. I will say that. However, every time folks have brought it up to leadership on ADOS, and I'm talking about, I've been in rooms with the co-founder of ADOS, Yvette Carnell, who's very brilliant, by the way. Like, she's not definitive in saying we do not accept any of this language or treatment towards undocumented people or black immigrants. We don't expect or appreciate any xenophobic or homophobic language. So is ADOS considering that? Before you answer that question, for those of you who are watching, if you like this conversation or you hate it, make sure you take a screenshot and mention us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever you're thinking about the comments. If you like what Chad's saying, if you hate what Stan is saying, we want to hear from you guys. I want to make sure we retweet and comment. So Chad, go ahead.
Yeah, Stanley, so my call to you would be that we should be talking to white supremacy and saying we are not going to stand for any anti-ADOS sort of sentiment. I don't see that we have a need to express something that doesn't exist within our movement. We are not xenophobic. We're not homophobic. I've already said that. So I don't see the need that we need to counteract something that is non-existent or give life to a narrative that is false.
It's not non-existent. That's the thing I'm telling you. You might believe it is non-existent, but I am telling you, and I have with multiple people who will tell you, and if you don't believe me, you could just go on social media and you will see for yourself, there is an overwhelming presence of xenophobia, homophobia. Now, I am not saying all those people are ADOS. What I am saying, as an organization with some very valid principles, why won't ADOS say, this is completely inappropriate, we don't support this, we want to move this way? Because as somebody who's, occasional dissent, I'm not a black American, I don't want American reparations, I don't think I deserve it, but I want to be able to feel comfortable to support my ADOS sisters and brothers in the movement. And right now, I don't. And that's not because of you necessarily, that's not because of Yvette Carnell, but it's because of all the other people who have consistently come in and give ADOS a bad name.
Well, as with anything, Stanley, again, and you said this yourself, that we can't chase around everybody on the internet. So you said that you're aware of Yvette Carnell. I would urge you to listen to her YouTube show. I would urge you to listen to our show, Politics in Black, and Antonio Moore's show, and learn about ADOS from the source. There is no homophobia in our movement. Now, if there are fringe people that are saying things, there are fringe, as you heard with the Proud Boys and the conservatives, there are fringe people and groups all over the internet saying all types of things. And my suspicion is a lot of what you're hearing is meant to give you the impression that we are homophobic or xenophobic because we are coming and we're demanding reparations and reparative justice. So you have to understand how fundamentally that challenges the systems of white supremacy here in America and the forces that exist that don't want to see that occur. So at the end of the day, I would say you should follow truth and not what you're running into as far as just random people out there online who are free to say whatever they might want to say.
Well, Chad, Yvette Carnell, the co-founder of ADOS, was on the board for a group called Progressives for Immigration Reform, and the Southern Law Center identified the group as an anti-immigrant hate group. So, I'm not just talking about, individual pieces. This is, your own co-founder was affiliated with this group. So, that's where there's smoke, there's fire. So
I'm aware of Yvette. I'm aware of Yvette sitting on that board.
Well, Chad, one second, Chad.
Go ahead.
To be very clear, I think we should support the statement of principles of ADOS, but I am telling you, as an ally, and I'd like to believe a co-conspirator in this movement, there are some very ugly elements here that we need to address, because if not, I don't know how ADOS gets beyond arguing with other black people in the diaspora when we all should be focusing on toppling white supremacy.
We are very focused on toppling white supremacy and are not focused on arguments with the diaspora. But the diaspora is bringing arguments to us because of the way that we have chosen to identify ourselves and claim our own name. So, Stanley, I would tell you that focus on the truth. Focus on the core of what ADOS is focused on, which is reparations and a transformative black agenda. You can either focus on the truth or you can get caught up in the noise that's going to surround us. Because the misinformation campaigns are going to continue. We have run up against this. I've been involved in ADOS now for over 2 years. I've seen it from the very beginning, from all types of different places, where people are vested in a system of white supremacy, and they are vested on keeping ADOS tethered to the bottom of this American caste system. So we are fundamentally challenging that status quo, and there will be folks out there who will try to be agents of chaos. They will try to spread lies about our movement. They will try to tell the media things that are just patently false. So you can either rock with the truth, or you can, follow some of these breadcrumbs that are being left by agents of chaos.
Literally,
No, Stanley, hold on. Let me talk real quick, because the problem that I'm having is this, like, and it's not you, Chad, it's more like of a general nature around ADOS. It's this hostility that's either take our truth or get out of here. The problem is you want to build a political movement. You have political goals. And in order to achieve those political goals, you have to lobby, bro. You have to build a movement. You need people on your side.
The emotionalism mixed in with the logic here. Notice that. Notice that. You know what I'm saying? It's wild how she does that. And as a matter of fact, while y'all was playing the video, I'm sure y'all have noticed I got on Twitter and checked the Twitter, and I happened to see this main post about what somebody said, in which this person, Stan Fritz, he's the co-host. He says, I don't think ADOS was happy with our show today, which was the show from yesterday, which he made this tweet yesterday at 5:23 p.m. Eastern Time. You know what I'm saying? And this sister here, listen close. She says she makes a very great point. Why everyone keeps calling this an ambush? It was not. At Chad Boogie was articulate. That's Chad Brown. He was articulate, intelligent, and never once wavered. He exposed at Be Heard Talk, showing it's not voices being heard in Black America if they can't be the loudest. Tammy/Stanley revealed immaturity. No facts/data, just emotion. You know what I'm saying? And there's other good tweets on here too. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good tweets on here. A lot of ADOS chiming in on this thread, on this Twitter thread here. You know what I mean? And in order to try to mix the emotionalism with some type of logic, it doesn't correlate. It doesn't correlate. You can tell by the way that she's speaking that she's personally offended. She's personally offended because she feels like her toes are being stepped on, when no one from ADOS is stepping on her toes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, she got to understand that her ancestors came here. Her ancestors came here after American chattel slavery, after Jim Crow, pretty much after segregation. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the fact that you're offended, yeah, that's just too emotional. This is too emotional for me. See, this is the people we gotta watch out for, these emotionals. Because the more they get emotional, the more they making it harder for everybody else. You know what I'm saying? In order to be a soldier, you can't be emotional. In order to be a soldier in any fight or in any army, You cannot be emotional. It's just the way it is. There's other professions that don't allow you to be emotional. That's just the way it is. But yeah, yeah, it's good that the Ados family, we didn't ambush it. Because, hey, we got the word that Chad Boogie was going to be on the program, and everybody invited themselves on in. Everybody had an invite, and they came on in and let people know who ADOS is, who we're about, what our goals are. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the purpose of ADOS is not to stomp on anybody. It's to get it's for them to get what's deserving, what they truly deserve, which is that they are owed a over 400-year-old debt. And America has not paid them that debt yet. Now they got you black immigrants, you know what I'm saying? They got you black immigrants as a buffer between the white supremacists and us. As a buffer to keep this system of white supremacy going by being all emotional and going after the descendants of American chattel slaves for getting what is truly theirs. So, yeah, it's a trip. So, yeah, this is wild right here. This is really wild. This is really wild. But these are all the tweets though that I came across. So they could call it what they will, but come on now. Check out some of these quoted tweets here. D. Monique 2001. Disagree. I thought Chad elevated the discussion to where it needed to be on hashtag reparations and nothing else. The rest was outside chatter unrelated to hashtag ADOS. And the fact that a lot of us came on this show, we actually elevated their probably elevated their numbers onto the show, because before then nobody never even heard of this Be Heard talk show. You know what I mean? I'm gonna follow. That's why I decided to follow them, see what else they're gonna be talking about. And if they're not talking about any interesting topics, then I mean, what's the use of me even watching any of their other shows? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but all this emotionalism, it's just uncalled for. I mean, damn, man. Nah. And Dr. Shauna has mentioned about this emotionalism on her videos too. Dr. Shauna Etienne. I might play one of her videos at the end of this. We'll see. But continuing on.
Okay? The problem with just ignoring and saying this doesn't exist in our movement, and if it does, you have to turn a blind eye and just look at the truth, is that people don't have to do anything. They are going out of their way to support ADOS and the fight for reparations because they are interested in them. Me personally, I am interested in the fight for reparations. However, there's a lot I can do outside of ADOS for reparations or to support the movement for reparations instead of spending my time supporting an organization that will not put out a statement condemning problematic behavior and language within its ranks. I do understand that, you can't control what people say, and for every movement there will be problematic behavior, and there will be agents of chaos, as you call it. But look at the Black Lives Matter movement. They stepped up and said, those anarchists who are ruining shops and doing this, that's not us. They had to do that in order to garner enough support to actually make policy changes on criminal justice reform and police budgets across cities in America. And unfortunately, I don't see ADOS ever making that progress because it is not strong-willed enough to say, listen, enough is enough. You cannot behave this way and still, be a part of that movement. We do not condone that. It's not saying that you're going to kick those people out because you can't police people's behavior, but I don't know why ADOS is so reluctant to just put out a statement and say, we are for all ADOS people.
Chad, just quickly, because we've been talking about this statement for a long time, if you could just final words on the statement so we can move on.
No, absolutely. So, you started, Timmy, by saying you have an interest in reparations, and what we understand in our movement is that reparations is an imperative. We are on life support and dying, and COVID has only escalated the rate at which we're seeing our decline in this country. So reparations for us is not really a choice. It is the only solution to continue us as a viable group in this country. And so when you say that we should address accusations and statements, what we are addressing is this government that owes a debt to a specific group of people and an identity and reclaiming an identity that has long been kept from us. And we've been told that we don't have identity or that we are part of something that we're not part of. And so we are focused on self-love and making sure that our group is proud, understanding who we are, and that we're pushing forward on this political project. And when you say that we need to have coalitions, I agree with you. We do need to build partnerships with groups, but those partnerships come with terms and conditions, and it has to be based upon data and historical fact, and not just emotion and innuendo. So what we are saying is that reparations is the imperative, and if you want to be aligned with ADOS, you should see that imperative very clearly through the data and the historical record. And I don't see how that runs afoul of anything that we are doing or saying. I mean, there are rogue agents out there, but we don't control those people.
Chad, as we start to bring this conversation to a close, I do think that what unites all of us is the fight for Black liberation. We talk about that a lot here on Be Heard Talk. We may differ on the strategies, but the goal, if you ask me, is definitely the same. And, Stanley, as we wrap this panel, I actually want to start with you because you have said offline that, you think the best strategy for Black liberation is Pan-Africanism. Why and how do you think that would be the best way?
So, first off, if you're a true Pan-Africanist, then you absolutely must accept ADOS, because any movement within the Black diaspora fighting for the liberation and the safety of Black people is a movement that you want to be supportive of. But also within Pan-Africanism, the basic principle is that anywhere you are in the world, it doesn't matter. As long as you're part of the Black diaspora, we are in this together, and we are working together to topple white supremacy and capitalism. And that's the only way that we win, because there has been no movement where one person or one individual group has been able to topple white supremacy or the terrors that they have put on Black people and on brown people. So if we were really committed.
See, the thing is, if it takes more than one group in order to topple white supremacy, why aren't black immigrants aligned with ADOS? That is the $1,000,000 question. This whole trying to sweeten things up, I mean, as ADOS, we could see right through it. You know what I'm saying? We could just completely see right through it. You know? And they're not really fooling us on this. So this interview is pretty much over anyway. Nothing to see here. You know, as you may see by the comments, you see by the chat here. Somebody asked, why do these conversations always go back to Pan-Africanism? These people are all compromised. I don't know why it does. I don't know why I always go back to Pan-Africanism, but somehow it does. You know, but it is what it is. But the whole checking the emotionalism thing out, I'm gonna give y'all Dr. Shauna's video. She talks about it as well. Let me see if I can find it. Find any one of her videos here. Hold on. Actually is the Emotionals. I can't even spell it. The Emotionals video. Let's see if I can find it here. This might be one of them. She makes a good point. This might be one of them. Yeah, I think this is one of the videos. It's probably the one that I saw too. This one right here. I think it's this one.
When the pandemic hit, it was like a wake-up call for me. You get a notification with a little Georgia with Michi X. Say hi to the people. Hi, people. That's what I'm gonna say. Hi, people. Yes. I'm not loud right now. It's not loud. I'm just saying, hey, I'm gonna scoot in and I'm gonna scoot the fuck out. Somebody said, there you go. I'm in Georgia. I'm in ATL, Atlanta, Georgia, with Michi X and her whole damn crew. Her house is like a whole goddamn studio. I don't know what's going on here. She got people all over the place. She got the cousins, the uncles and nephews, everything. Workman here right now. Workman is in here. She got 1,000 bedrooms, 1,000 bathrooms. I don't know what's going on in Michi's house, but this is where we are. But we're going to have real conversation, and I'm glad you guys can hear me now. We're going to talk about somebody saying, hola, queens. Hola. We're going to talk about emotional black folks. So before I go ahead and I preface what this conversation is really about, we know that with this whole election, at least I know with this whole election, there has been a lot of things that I started to see among the black population that for some is normal because they're used to behaviors that are toxic, right? And for others, it's excessive, it's too much. As for me, and I think you too, Michi, I think you would agree with it too, it's too much. Some of the behaviors in the black community is extremely toxic. So we're going to be addressing that today on Mental Health Fridays. So y'all go ahead and come in. Do me a favor. I want you guys to share the video with your friends. Okay, go ahead and share with your community. If you have not already done so, I want you guys to go ahead and hit the like button to the video and the subscribe button. And where the bell is, go ahead and hit the notification so when I go live, you guys can be notified. For all the people who have donated to my channel, Diane, I want to say thank you. to Black Mama. You are the best. You are the bomb. Right? Black Mama is always showing up. Come over here and talk to Black Mama. Come over here and talk to Black Mama. Because she is the bomb.com. Because I want people to know that she's dedicated.
I know your name. Black Mama donates to me. She donates to you. You donate to Biggie Dillon too. Boo, no, I'm just saying. You know what you want.
No, y'all know I'm all about people.
But she donates to everybody. She be showing love to everybody. So
And the Black Authority or Jason Black, she
donate to him? I was just looking at his name. You know I don't like Jason Black.
Michi.
What?
He shouts her out all the time. This is not about Jason Black. This is about the Black Mama.
Shout out to Black Mama. I don't know about none of them other names. I'm just saying. You the bomb.
We're talking about the Black Mama.
We appreciate all your support in the Black sector.
We appreciate your love and support. We appreciate that. The fact that you're on this stage, and we recognize you, and Michi recognizes you too.
I do. I know her name.
See, everyone knows your name. The minute you say Black Mama, everybody knows your name. For those who are donating, the Cash App is $ Dr. Shauna, SHONNA, $ Dr. Shauna. You can go ahead and donate there. You can donate through PayPal or whatever it is. I love every last one of you guys. So we're going to talk about this topic about Black people and their emotions, and how some emotions in the Black community, whether you're raising children, you're in a relationship, whatever the case is very toxic. So we have to have some real conversation. So what I'm going to do is, as you guys are coming in, I'm going to go ahead and share this video to my Facebook family, and I'm going to start the conversation about Black families. Before I get into the study, so make sure you have your pen and paper, because you know when I go live, it means you have to have your pen and paper, because 9 out of 10 times I'm going to be educated. So I want you guys to look this stuff up. I don't want you guys to take my word for it. I want you guys to be a part of the discussion by being knowledgeable. But I'm going to address something that I've seen in the Black community recently because of this whole election thing. People are going crazy. And most importantly, what I want to address is those of you guys, or should I say those of us, because I'm not excluded, those of us in the Black community who have adopted some of these toxic behaviors that I'm going to share, and some of you guys are aware of it, whereas other people are not aware of their toxic behaviors. But I'm going to give you guys some psychological pinpoints that you can look at, because this is detrimental to our Black community, and we have to change it, right? Join me live on YouTube. So you guys have to go ahead and tell people to join me live on YouTube right now. Share the video. Subscribe to the channel. So let's go ahead and have a conversation. Before I go ahead and have a conversation, I want you guys to think about this one video on BuzzFeed. It has gone viral. It's a video about a Black mother, and I'm disgusted by the video. Maybe some of you guys were not disgusted by the video. Maybe some of you guys thought it was exciting. I don't think it's exciting one iota, but it's a Black mother who's berating her Black son for his voting decisions. And I think this communication right now, this conversation is so imperative for us to have it, because so many of us in our community, we don't recognize how we are destroying not only our Black men, we're destroying our Black men. This is Mental Health Fridays. Can we keep it real for a second? We're destroying our Black men, but we're also teaching our Black daughters how to destroy the Black men when they get older. And I don't think enough of us is having this conversation. I don't think enough of us are really being honest with ourselves with how we're showing up when our emotions start to unravel, and how our children are being raised in toxicity, and how our mothers, I'm not saying that fathers don't do it, so this is not beat up on a Mama's Day, but we're going to point out a mama today, how our mothers and fathers have behaviors that are so toxic, and we don't realize that we are teaching our children not only how to behave, but how to be in relationship as they get older. Right? So we're going to have this conversation. So if you guys are all ready, if you already shared the video, go ahead and share the video. Give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. and join the list of my members to the channel by hitting the join tab next to the subscribe tab and being a part of the community. Let me go ahead and share this video because I want to play for you guys this video that you ought to be seeing so you can see what I see and we can have this discussion. So let's go ahead to this video. Give me a second. Okay. So as you can see here, this is on BuzzFeed News. It says a mom is going viral for her impassioned response to learning her son voted independent. And as you can see this lady here, she looks, I don't know what this name is, Ikran Dahir. I don't know what she is, but she's the editor, she's the reporter on the story of this mom. This black mom right here, that y'all see here, this black mother, who her daughter was in the car, and her daughter seen how her mother was going off on her big brother who voted independent. And his mom got enraged. And this lady covered this story because it went viral on TikTok. And see, before I even get into the story, I want you to see this lady's face. Because I know some of you guys in this feed, you guys are pro-mom. She did the right thing. That's right. Let your kids know. And you guys, you know, how do I say this? Listen, the truth is, can we just be honest for a second? The truth is, toxic people don't know when they are toxic. And toxic people tend to promote and support other toxic people. And what we don't understand is that we are spreading toxicity to our children and future generations. And we have, in our community, we have normalized this. And this is a problem for me because this is being picked up by white media, by liberals. Let me talk to you guys.
Yeah, they eating it up right now. They're eating it up and taking advantage of it right now. You know what I'm saying? The Caucasian MSM media, they love it when black people are toxic towards one another, because it gives them room to do and say whatever they want that would not only draw them attention, but that would make them money in the process. You know what I'm saying? Because the more attention that you get, the more money you're going to eventually make anyway. You know what I mean? More views, that means more money coming to your pocket, coming to their pockets. So, yeah, I don't think a lot of our people realize how much they contributed to the toxicity. Yeah, they really have no idea. But I'm going to let Dr. Shauna speak. I probably ain't going to pay this whole thing, but I'm just going to play a little bit for y'all. And I may end up just go ahead and just put this video in the description box as well whenever this video finish uploading.
For a second. This is picked up by white liberals. This is broadcasted, and this shows us to be...
What is in that box? It's you, your reputation, your business. If your customers don't get their shipments...
As people who cannot control their emotions. Before I read this story to you guys, I want you guys to know that this story reminded me of the story that broke when Trayvon Martin was killed and the verdict came back not guilty with Zimmerman. And if you remember, the media captured this black mother when she went into the audience and she grabbed her black son who were among the protesters and she started to whip his ass on camera.
I remember that.
In front of everybody, asking him why he went to protest, and she was telling the media how she raised him better than that. She was whipping his ass all over media.
Yes, she
and of
was.
course, white people like to see that kind of stuff. And what happened to this mother? Do y'all remember what happened to this mother? I think some of you guys have forgotten, but that's okay. because I'm here to remind you. I'm here for you to not forget things that happen. But some of you guys may forget that this mother picked up a case. You forgot? She picked up a case and she was investigated for abuse because of her irate behavior. Now, going back to this story right here with this mother, let me go back to the story. So I wanted to put that up. I want to set the stage. This mother, let me play this video for you. Clearly, I'm not a member of TikTok because TikTok is for the little kids. So I'm going to play it on a regular page. But I want to be able to have you guys hear. Not forgetting things that happen, but some of you guys may forget that this mother picked up a case.
We done lost a damn vote. We done lost a vote. Let's go to the front. God damn.
Because of her irate behavior.
Ain't nobody watching them.
Going back to the story right here.
We need somebody that was motherfucking
Let me get back to the story. So I wanted to put the...
He vote independent. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? You know what I said do when you go in there. You go.
Let me start.
You said you go to independent, honey. I told you. I said go Democrat Biden. Now there's a fucking vote that we done lost that can fucking go to Trump. This is why I don't do politics. I will never do this. He ain't gonna vote again.
I want to play that one more time because I want you guys to really capture this. Let me go ahead back to this mama. Give me a second, guys. I want to play this one more time because I want you guys to capture this.
If you have COPD, your lungs deserve the real flare-up protection of breast treat.
Damn ads. YouTube ain't gonna have me pay for this shit. Hell no. They better give me 30 days free. Fuck that.
That's the daughter who recorded this. This is the daughter. She was the one who saw her mother acting crazy, so obviously this daughter is used to this kind of behavior, and she started recording it.
Hey, I told you to do Biden. Now we done lost a damn vote. We done lost a vote. Let's go to Trump. God damn. Stop worshiping these people like they're fucking God. Ain't nobody worshiping them. But God damn it, Chris. We need somebody that was motherfucking sent. He vote independent. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? You know what I said do when you go in there. You go. That's what I did. You said you go to independent, honey. I told you. I said go Democrat Biden. Now there's a fucking vote that we done lost that can fucking go to Trump. This is why I don't do politics. I will never do this. He ain't gonna vote again.
Okay. All right, family. So y'all see that. Y'all see that this is a mother who done lost her goddamn mind because her son voted independent. All right, and I know that some people don't see anything wrong with it. Some people think that this is okay behavior, and probably because they demonstrate the same type of behavior. But y'all know that this is Mental Health Fridays, and you know that I'm going to give you guys a different perspective because I feel as a community, we have to do better. Somebody's saying the daughter is so annoying. No, I don't think the daughter was annoying. I think the mother and the grandmother was annoying. Because here it is. They're both in a position to educate their children. Now, I don't know how you guys do it in your household, and I'm not saying one household is better over the other household. But in my household, I can only talk about my household. In my household, I believe that my children are independent thinkers, and they have a right to make their own decisions. I teach them about politics. I teach them how to research the people who are in position to make a difference, the people who are in position to make laws, to make policy, to make changes. I teach my children how to recognize the lower level government versus the general election that holds the presidential candidate. I teach my children to know the difference between the House of Representatives, which is the Congress, which is the assemblyman, councilman, you name it. All those people. I teach my children to know what their positions are and how it matters on the local level. And at the end of the day, whatever decision my children make, it is their decision. Because I don't know about you guys, but I do not operate out of fear. I do not allow my fear and my anxiety to impact the way my children think. And with my children, such as my daughter, my son has 2 more years. My daughter's voting age, she's 22. I don't tell my daughter how to vote. In many aspects, my daughter and I do not hold the same voting mindset. We do not hold the same belief systems. But I am able to tolerate the ambiguity, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I am able to tolerate the uncertainty. Whatever happens in this world and in this society is going to happen. I do not allow my emotions to get the best of me because I want my children to have the best experience that they can have, and I want them to be knowledgeable. I do not choose to use fear tactics to control how my children vote. It's very toxic. So we're going to have this conversation today. So I want you guys to go ahead and get your pen and paper because we're going to talk about tolerance ambiguity. And this is a concept that was originally developed by a psychologist with the name Dr. Frankel Brunswick. 2 last names. Somebody said, my parents tell me I should vote at least locally, but never how to vote. That's a great thing. You should not tell your children how to vote. Because we have to understand that when we get to the point where we're telling our children how to vote, what to say, what not to say, we're actually encouraging our children to engage in groupthink. And we're going to talk about that today. Because what I notice is a lot of people participate in groupthink. And so when it comes to tolerance ambiguity, people who are intolerant of the uncertainty, of the unknown, of things that is ambiguous, people who are intolerant usually have a lower threshold. They're usually controlling people, and they are usually out of control because they're not able to tolerate the difference in other people. And so the reason why I chose to use this topic today.
Hit the road is an essential work.
This is all I'm gonna show of this video for right now. I'm gonna definitely put this video in the description box. This is yeah, I mean, Dr. Shauna really gets into it. She really gets into that. And that's a lot of lessons that you can learn from her videos if you decide to follow her channel. But subscribe to her channel. So this is all out. This is all I wanted to present. But feel free to like and share this video in the audio social media platforms. And of course, I will be seeing y'all in the next video once I figure out how to clock out of here. Because I tried to clock out of here before, and now I was having problems. So so let's see. Let's see how I could